Wait, talking to the thing?
Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing. Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Go on, so tell me, Steve, where you got the 911 from?
Oh, you put me right on the spot. You proper stuck it on me, didn't you? Hey, do you want the truth or do you want the lies? How the 911 come about? It ain't nothing special. It's just a car in it, fucking. But,
No, man.
But anyway,
You need to praise yourself with shit like that, bro.
well then I'm gonna praise you for putting this together then, because look at what you've done. Look what you've achieved. You said you was gonna set this thing up. You know, and a lot of people just gas shit these days, but you've gone and done it, mate. And I'm proud of you. Well done. All right.
I appreciate that, bro.
Look what you've achieved. Look.
It means a lot.
You know.
Seriously. But that's the thing, innit? Like, I was mentioning to you at work today as well, but it's a bit of a catch-22. Like, you could do a lot with your life, but your parents might not see that.
Yeah, man.
Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, on Instagram the other day, I must have wrote, like, sometimes your parents, they could come and just, like, they'll blow your whole shit up, bruv.
They
like,
can make or break you. They can destroy all your creativity, all your imagination, because they want you to be like them, innit? Yeah. But sometimes you'll go through life and you'll have to make decisions, right or wrong, and you'll make them for yourself, and you start becoming your own person. And sometimes you start elevating yourself, and sometimes your parents can encourage that or they can resent it. Yeah. And I had probably the latter. My parents, you know, my dad was like English Cockney guy, you know, I'll let him get on with it, you know. If I got in trouble with the old bill, I'll fucking leave him in now. He'll sort himself out. My mum was completely opposite. So I had a bit of both. With my upbringing, like talking about like humble, you know, humble. I'm trying to like put it across without swearing and like getting too emotional. We didn't have a lot.
Yeah.
Right, and
for those of you who didn't know, my man's a West Ham fan. Look at the bicep. The hammer's on the bicep.
Yeah, mate, yeah.
Millwall, fuck 'em all, Millwall, fuck 'em all.
This guy, don't fuck about with him. Do you get what I'm trying to say? He's been through a lot.
There's stories for another day. I'll tell you the lot.
That whole face has been reconstructed.
Yeah, I've had nose job, fucking you name it, right? You know, I'll tell you a funny thing, but I'm digressing now. I'll tell you a funny thing about the nose job. When I went to see the surgeon in Harley Street, he's come up to me and he's gone, where's the camera? He's come up to me and he's grabbed hold of my nose like that. We got a lot of work to do. Yeah, anyway, back to like humble beginnings and this, that and the other. Like we didn't have it easy. We had it hard. So it was like work. And duck and dive and be a little bit dodgy. Because back then it was easy to be dodgy. Yeah. It was all cash in hand.
So for the reason why I'm doing this video, I feel like a lot of people are out there doing videos with people that have gone big time. Got Range Rovers, got this, got that, you know, like rappers, trappers. And then you obviously got Joe Rogan that has his thing with like multi-millionaires and billionaires and whatnot. So I thought we go to work with people that they've got something for themselves. They've managed to, like, with the little things that they have, they've managed to pull shit together, make a little life for themselves. And I feel like we don't get enough credit for that with the current way that the youngsters are looking, for example, like, because obviously there's different generations right now speaking to each other. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, from my point of view, like, everyone from my age group, they always want to make it. They want to be at the top. They want to put minimal work in. Yeah. They want all the best things in life. They want the nice flashy cars, the this, the that. So I think like it'll be a really good opportunity to hear it from someone's mouth where he you know, like, it's not no dickhead down the road. You get what I'm trying to say? Like, it's someone that's already got something going for themselves, and you know, they've done well.
And it's funny because we've often said this before. You can get a kid right from the most privileged family, like with rich family, money. They've given that kid a good education. They've sent them to best schools, private schools, Oxford, Cambridge, all them special places they send their kids, yeah?
Yeah.
And they make fuck all their life.
Yeah.
They're fuck ups. And then you get the kid who comes from like no mother, no father, or humble background.
Exactly.
And they try and better themselves and do something with their life, and they do some sort of climb their way out of the hard times.
Exactly.
There's some that don't make it.
Tough time never lasts. Only tough people last.
Fair play, but it's got to be. You've got to have a little bit of something.
Exactly.
You've got to have a little bit of desire.
Exactly.
It's like if I used to see my mates like with new trainers, I used to walk around with Reebok Classics.
Yeah.
I never had the you know what
Whatever
I'm saying,
the
yeah.
fuck was
I had
going
what
on back then.
but I still looked alright. I still had enough like to.
Pull
I
your
didn't
weight
have the
around.
piss take at me. Dunlops would have been too far. Yeah.
Listen.
Fucking Umbros, right?
If you ever put on Dunlops and Umbros, I'm gonna end this
That's
thing
what
right
I'm trying
now.
to say, right? But my dad would say to me, like, go with your mate up Hampstead with a bucket and sponge, knock on all them big houses, the doors, and ask if you want your cars cleaned. And sometimes they told us to piss off your jippos. And you know, or sometimes they say, listen, if you do a good job of that one, I've got another one in the garage you clean and come back next week. And we'd earn 30 quid and we'd go and get our shoes. It was all about work, my family.
So in your times, what were your friends like about? Like,
See, I left school when I was 14. I wasn't academically gifted.
yeah.
But my parents, from a young age, instilled, like, the value of money.
Yeah.
I remember going to my grandfather's restaurant in the East End, opposite the Gun Pub in Crispin Street, just off Commercial Street, where the old Spitalfields Market is. We had a cafe there, Dino's Cafe.
Yeah.
And I used to go down there with him, like, 10 years old on a Sunday, cut the ham, cut the cheese, turn the boiler on, you know. A funny story about my grandfather, he said to me once, go and sweep the floor.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't want to do it. And he said, go and sweep the floor. I said, I don't want to do it. I ducked me nut and I went and tried to make myself look busy somewhere else. Threw a £10 note. For £10 was a lot of money back then. That's like £50, maybe a bit more now. He threw a £10 note on the floor, right? And he got the broom and I can hear him, shh. I can hear him. I could hear the sweep. I thought, oh, fucking hell, like, he's gone and got the broom now. Like, he's pissed. And then he's gone out, he said in Italian, he goes, ho trovato 10 lira. It was like, we used to say mille lira back then, like, it was like a pound. Like, 10 lira would be like 10 quid equivalent of. And I've gone, oh no, if I would have swept the floor, that tenner would be mine. But he threw it on the floor, but he made me think
That sweeping.
I've lost the tenner and I would have got paid for sweeping the floor as well.
Exactly.
So there was all these little things I was taught in life.
That's
at a young
wavy,
age.
but you see shit like that. I don't think. I could be wrong. Do you get what I'm trying to say? But I feel like the generation of mine that's coming up now, I don't feel like we got that kind of creativity to kind of make the youngsters' brains
Motivated,
work in that kind of way.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm trying to say? We'll just, in my opinion, I'll probably be like, if you go do that, I'll pay you double.
Yeah, man.
Or some shit like that. Do you get what I'm trying to say? I wouldn't have the creativity in my brain to drop money on the floor and be like, oh shit, look what I found. But again, that goes back to the whole sort of generational differences of what the fuck used to go back.
It didn't make money, my God, but it taught me some very powerful. I learned a lot from my grandfather. I've spoke about my grandfather a lot of times before, and I got three good educations. Like, I got an education through the market, I got an education from my granddad, and I got an education when I came into the car game.
So would you say you've learned most of your life lessons from your granddad?
Yeah, a lot, and my grandmother and all. So he gave me a curfew. He said, the latest, you can go and play football with your brethren and fucking your pals and all that. He said, but, he said 11, which is a good curfew, 11, we got to get up at 5, right? But the man didn't need
11 is late, bro.
Yeah, and the man didn't need a lot of sleep. He used to sleep with his eyes open. I'm allowed this curfew, right? So it was like a summer's night like this. Like, I remember it, and it was like warm, and like we're all having a laugh in the flats and football. And it's got like, it's like, I know it's going to take me like 10 minutes to walk home, and I'm seeing it's like coming up like 11 now, so I already know you're going to be late. Because you know, if you're going to get there on time for 11 and be respectful, you got to leave at 10 to 11. Start making the way home,
to be there.
So I already knew I was taking a piss when I see it 10 to 11, yeah? So anyway, time rolled on, gets like fucking 10 past 11. Now I'm thinking, shit, like, now I'm going to get home 20 past 11. I knew it was a piss take. But I never tested my grandfather, never. Because I had a lot of respect for him. But on this occasion, I put him to the test, yeah? I'm coming down the road, right? The lights are off and I'm thinking, fucking hell, I fucked up here, and But it is what it is, isn't it? I've got to get in.
Yeah,
I've got to get in. I've got to ring that bell.
Exactly.
I've gone up the door. I've gone ding dong, ding dong. I didn't take the piss. I thought 2 dings is enough. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? If I start going ding, 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 get out of bed, G, do you know what I mean? Fucking, the man's going to come down with a fucking hammer. Right? So I was all nice. I went ding, ding. Right? Lovely. If I started crashing the bell, bam, 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 bam. Right, anyway, so I've done it all nice. Anyway, boom, crash. I've seen the light go on. Now, let me tell you something now. Paint the image in your head. Right? The man has walked down the stairs. He was like a bear, hair everywhere, string vest on, big gold medallion on, right? He's walked up to the door. He's unlocked the door. Dunk, 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 dunk. He made a point of unlocking it nice and slowly to let me know.
I'm fucking
opening
this door, bro.
You know what I mean? Yeah? So he's opened the door and he said in Italian, "È più tardi adesso. Vieni in dentro. Vai a letto, ma quando si veglia alla mattina, ti do."
I bet that's been tattooed on your brain cells, bro.
I'll never forget it. I don't even speak Italian, can So anyway, it basically translates to, it's late now, right? Come inside and get up to bed. But when you wake up in the morning, that's when I'm going to give it to you. And sure enough, I went to bed and I literally laid there for 5 hours, didn't go to sleep. And tried to doze off, and then just as like you started to feel tired and doze off, he's come in, boom, with a light. On comes the light. And you know what amazed me about my grandfather, the class he had, yeah?
Yeah.
The class he had. He got up early, before he's had to give me an ID. He's got half hour early. He's had a shave. He's put aftershave on, right? I'll never forget, when he walked through the door, he looked fucking immaculate. You know, like crisp.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. He's trying to give you them sharp slaps
yeah.
in the bow.
And then when he came in, he's given me a little one, boom, and kind of woke me up.
Yeah,
I'll tell you something now, I never came home late again.
Yeah, yeah.
Never came home late again. In fact, I used to come home fucking 10 minutes early. Right? And taught me a good lesson. When we got to work that morning, it was never spoken about ever again. He phoned my mum and said, "Look, I've had to straighten him out. Don't let him tell you," and I never did.
What would you think? So if you went to your mum and you started bitching that, "Oh yeah, I got slapped up," do you think like he would slap
My mum
you?
probably would have given me one and all.
What, for bitching, innit?
Yeah.
I hear that.
And he probably would have then had it in for me again for going saying something. You know, that wouldn't make life easy for me, because then it would have been like, you're a little fucking...
Yeah, yeah.
You're a little melt, aren't you? I'll give you a slap like a man. I've even let you off the hook.
Yeah, yeah,
and then you've gone and bitched to your mum, tried to fucking cause aggravation between
But you see that there...
Yeah.
I think bitching to your mum, I think some parents tell their kids, "Tell me everything."
Exactly.
So it's all to do with like how you was moulded.
While I was standing there, I had a fight at school with a geezer. He's probably listening. He's a geezer called Che Meek, yeah? He could handle himself. Anyway, I've had enough one day. I've just stood up for myself. I've come off second best, but I've had a go, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He was big.
Yeah.
And I got into trouble. And I thought, and they said, "We're going to tell your mum and dad." I said, "Well, I'm at home." I said, "I don't live with my mum and dad trying to be clever, right?" I said, "I live with my grandmother and they don't speak English." Right? And they went, "Yeah, all right, no problem." Right? So anyway, they still phoned my mum anyway, yeah?
So,
And then my mum, obviously, because I was staying there, she told my grandfather. And I thought, "Oh, fuck it, no, man, this is going to get..."
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And he called me into a room. He said, yeah, he's like in Italian, he said, like, "You've had a fight at school." He said, "Did you win?"
Yeah.
And I went, well, that was a funny question to ask.
Yeah.
And I went, "Nah, I didn't." He said, "Make sure you get in first next time." And that was like...
Yeah.
I thought,
that speaks volumes, bro.
yeah, man. I was like, he was all about stand up for yourself.
Yeah.
But don't be a fucking bully.
Yeah.
Don't be an arsehole. Don't throw your weight about with people that can't handle themselves.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, my grandfather was a...
But did parents back in the day discipline their children like that?
Well, that's the thing that's wrong at the moment with the world, I think. You need discipline.
Yeah,
you need to discipline your kids. And a little whack on the bum or a little punch in the face, right? I don't think ever hurt no one, right? Now, you know, people get a little slap in the face now, they fucking crumble. You can't get discipline at home. The old Bill can't discipline no one. They can give you a big hefty sentence, give you a fucking 20 stretch.
That's still not disciplining.
You go to prison. You go to prison. It ain't discipline. You know, you get whatever food you want. You get a fucking credit card to put your bits and pieces on.
Yeah.
You get your tea. You get all your games room. It's like holiday camp, innit? We know that. Some people are more happy to go away and do a 10 stretch. They are spending it home with a wipe for 10 years. Do you know what I mean? Right? It's true though, isn't it?
But that's what I'm trying to say. Do you think what? Do you think that
you can't get discipline at school? You can't touch any of the kids at school because the parents have come down or you can't.
Yeah.
And I think to mould good, it's like kids now, they come last in a race, they get a prize for coming last. Because no one wants to be a loser. But you have to fucking instill something in a kid to try a bit harder or be a bit tough.
Yeah.
I think we're losing our way a little bit.
I think you're fucking, bruv. I'm talking. You've got the nail right.
Do you know what I mean? We're
I mean, what? That's not even the nail.
do you know what I mean? No, but
This is not even the nail. This is the rascal hammer.
we're breeding. We're fucking breeding fucking lunches. You know what I mean? We're breeding lunches.
What would you say? Would you say growing up you would need your mum and your dad together?
I felt like, because my mum was so strict, I had to move a little bit mad and manipulate the situation to go and do what I wanted to do. If I got found out, I took the consequences. Yeah. What was going to be the consequences? She fucking hit me with a broom or fucking, and I'll still go and do it the next day. Right? And my dad was then, he's got to get out there and he's got to let him, which can be to your detriment as well. Because if I would have had my dad without my mum and I would have done what I wanted, I'll probably be banged up now. Right? But because I had that little bit of mum and I kind of got lucky in a lot of ways, and I always had the ability. I've been in some situations, but I've also had the ability that I've walked away from a few things and all, and I've had the bollocks to walk away. When all this internet gambling started kicking off, I'm talking about maybe 15, 20 years ago, I knew a little firm that said, put some money in, we're going to start up a website, get people gambling, once all the money's gone in, we're going to pull the fucking plug on it. Okay. We're all going to fuck up to Spain. Other people, they go and rent a bit of land in. Well, I won't say change the venue somewhere else, yeah. Out in Scotland, yeah. Right. Yeah, we can't. We'll have to cut that. They go and rent a bit of land off a farmer.
Yeah.
And load it up with 20 storage containers. Go and get a couple of grabber trucks and go around doing cheap asbestos clearances, because asbestos was a hard thing to move a few years ago.
Asbestos.
Asbestos is things that are, it's like if you break it, it's really bad for you. It gets into the air, can give you cancer. Like anything with asbestos, like an asbestos roof on a garage, internal walls, asbestos. It's like made of fiberglass. It's like a funny material, like building material. They don't use it no more. So, but you buy a house and like you'd have a shed and it'd be made out of asbestos, or it'd have asbestos roof. And before you can knock it down, you've got to call the council. They got to come down. You've got to pay fortunes to get rid of it, because it's hard to dispose of, and it costs a lot of money to dispose of asbestos. So like these little teams would go out doing all these cheap rubbish clearances, fill up the containers. And when the containers got full and they had like their £1 million in the bank, they just pull the plug, and then the farmer would be left with the shit, and he'd have to clear it up.
What? So they would leave the containers on the farm?
Yeah, they just fucking pull the plug on the company, and then they just go, mate. Just go. They've had the money. They've taken the money out of the bank, and that's it. They're off.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, so I've had a couple of things that I've been lucky I walked away from and not got involved with.
So what would you say?
Fashion.
What would you say kick-started your life? Like where in your life did you say, right, fuck this?
Me,
I'm gonna do
what kick-started my life was I worked. So I spent from the age of 14 to the age of about 24, 25. I stayed in my family business. 25, I left my family business.
Yeah.
I got into the car game.
So you started in the car game first?
When I started for Dagenham Motors, it was really the first proper job I ever had. I'd always been paid weekly.
Yeah.
So I'd done my first week's work and I said, where's my money? And the geezer's got me, nah, mate. He said, you get paid at the end of the month. And I was like, what the fuck? I've got the rent going out on the 17th and all that. And it was like, I'm on my own now. Like, I've got to crack on now. And then I started doing really well.
So what was it like selling cars back then?
I didn't know nothing. In fact, I went to Dagenham Motors and there was a geezer there called Barry Andrews, who was the trainer. And I went on his training course for a week. And after I came back, he said, you ain't going to be able to sell cars. Like, really used to, like, horrible. Yeah. But he was really, like, proper. You know, like them car dealers with like the gold watch, the ring, the cufflinks, the gold pen, like Swiss Tony sort of thing, yeah? And then that kind of sort of G'd me up a little bit. And I went, yeah, I thought, I'll fucking show you, you cunt. And I started like really cracking on, selling a load of motors. Then similar sort of thing to you, I got to the age of 26.
Yeah.
So I've been there a couple of years. I got my feet under the table.
Yeah.
I'd learnt a few little moves and that to get a little bit of earn a little bit extra money as well. And I had a couple of really, really good months and everyone was buying houses. It was like the craze. Everyone's like you've got to buy an house, you've got to buy an house.
What, in the motor trade?
Yeah.
Okay.
Everyone in my showroom was like buying that. And I thought, what's all this about?
What, like your colleagues?
Yeah.
Okay.
They was all buying houses. So I was like, what's all this? He said, no, like, you got to get on the fucking, like, you got to get on the ladder, mate. You got to get on the ladder. Yeah. I said, what ladder? Like, I was green as grass.
Yeah, yeah.
And he said, how much you paying a month on rent? And I'm going like, yeah, like 900. He said, fucking hell. He said, that you can have your own house for that. And then I started thinking, I thought, oh, right, here we go. This is the next move now. But I couldn't afford nothing in London. I'd done a bit of homework and there was a couple of geezers in the office that were like buying bits and pieces and they knew what they were doing. And I just copied them. And I just said, right. He said, well, go have a look in Canterbury. So I told you a story about Canterbury. I went and looked at an house in Canterbury, ex-council house, right? That didn't faze me at all because, like, you know where you're from, you know, it just
you don't
looks
care,
like.
that's calm.
I thought, you know, it's all right. So I looked at it. I started back then. There weren't like this internet thing you could do all your research on. So you literally had to go into agents. What's it like? What's the area like? Knock on the neighbour's door. So anyway, like I'd heard some bad things about it. Like, oh no, stay away from that estate. Like, it ain't good. There's burnt out cars down here. There's like, you know. And I could see it was a bit edgy, but I didn't faze me. I used to go and play football in the flats, Finsbury Park. You know what I mean? There'd be burnt out cars there. So like, what the fucking difference does it make to me? Do you know what I mean? It's like fucking,
you can take the man out of the ghetto,
we used to fucking warm our hands on it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So I've bitten the bullet, and I thought it's so cheap. It can't get any cheaper. It can only go one way.
Yeah.
I spoke to a few of the boys at work, and they said, "Yeah, you can't lose money, mate. You can't lose money. Like, just sit on it, try and do it up or rent it out." And I just went for it. And all my family, don't buy it. Don't buy. It's too far away from home. And that's when I started I thought, you can't listen to these people. They're going to hold you back. So I went and bought it. I jumped the gun.
And how old was you when you bought it?
I jumped in, eh?
How old was you when you bought it?
About 26.
26 years?
Yeah,
okay.
26.
How much was it for at that time?
It was 72,000.
Serious?
Yeah, I suppose that was quite a bit of money back then.
That's a lot.
You know what I mean? So,
well, did you pay it cash or did you do mortgage thing?
So what happened was, it was up for 75.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't take nothing less. And then I'd done the mortgage for a geezer called Sam Balla, who was one of the geezer's mates in the showroom, one of my colleagues. He was like a bit of a dodgy broker. Because you could do... When I went to see him to do the mortgage, he said, don't worry. He said, my cousin works for Birmingham Midshire. And the next day, I had mortgage. That was it. Gave him 3 or 4 good pay slips. That was it. Done.
That's it.
So what happened was Birmingham Midshire went to value the house because they used to do their own value. They used to have to go and value it to see what they were lending against. So they went to look at it and they went, nah, that's too much money, that place. We're only going to lend 60 something. They were going to lend me 6, but I had the deposit for the rest. Do you get me?
Yeah, yeah.
So it was about $3,000 less than. So I got it for about 72 instead of 75, thanks to them because they undervalued it. And then I've done it up. And what the beautiful thing about that place was, I saw the potential in it. It had a nice big plot of land next to it, and I got planning permission straight away. I got an architect, gave him about $1,000, and he'd done plans to build 2 masonettes on the side. So I didn't have the money to build the masonettes because that was going to be like another $100,000. Yeah. And they would have only been worth, at the time, it wouldn't have stacked up for me to build them what they would have been worth for the aggravation. So I rented it out for a year, and I sat on the market, and within a year, it had gone up by about $30,000. I couldn't believe it. And that was my first kickstart, with the planning permission. So then I sold it to a builder, and I don't know what he's done with it. It's 66 Querns Road, Canterbury. I remember the address. And I got out of that one. I remortgaged that and got up another bit of deposit, and then I bought one in St Albans.
Okay.
I bought one in St Albans and done it up. I made some money on that. Then I bought another one in Oxford, done that up. That one weren't so clever. And then I bought the one I had in New Southgate, the lovely one. And that's the one my ex-wife...
You know something? You know what? Half! I take half his shit.
So you keep.
Yeah, and then I bought another one in Shepherd's Bush, 100 the Grampians, which is like an Art Deco Grade 2 listed building.
Okay.
It just all escalated from there. But that one she took when the divorce.
So literally, it all kind of went up from the first property that you bought.
But look, I think the only reason why, I've done all right. The only reason I've done all right is because I was working, and I was doing them up myself. And anything I couldn't do, I went to plastering school. My mate John, I've known him for years. When I got my house, it needed plastering from top to fucking toe, right?
Yeah.
I've got him round thinking he's going to do me a favour. I've gone, John, need the old house plastered. He's hit me with a fucking like £4,800 fucking quote.
Fucking pagan.
Hey, yo, don't let him do that
I've
to you,
been
fam.
there for you since day one.
So I've gone bollocks to that. I said fucking 30 bags of plaster only cost like fucking £400-500. So I went to Yeovil on a crash course for 2 weeks and I learned how to plaster.
Oh shit.
Yeah. And then when I come back to do the house up, the first 2 rooms I did were fucking atrocious. Fucking atrocious. But then the more I did it and the more I practiced,
the more you learn.
And then at the end of the job, I ended up going back to the first 2 rooms and plastering them again.
Okay.
And I went to bricklaying school. I did a night class in Barnet College, Graham Park. Yeah, in my spare time. So I've always had the thing like if I can do.
See what I mean? The brick game, bruv.
Yeah, the brick game, bruv. You know what I mean?
You know about the brick?
You know what I mean? The brickies, mate. My mate was odd carrier, going up the ladders with the bricks, and that's like you can't even do that no more. Geezer's got fucking bow legs. Looks like he just got off an ulster, geezer. Fucking seriously, mate. Look like he walks there like he shit his pants. You've never seen nothing like it. Tell you. So he walks around like this, the geezer. It's the back. His back's gone. But he looks like he's got 2 ton of crap in his pants. You know what I mean? Fucking. But yeah, so that was me. My grandfather was me. And when we lost my grandfather, that was like, yeah, man. We all felt it. The rock had gone, man.
Yeah.
You know, that foundation.
Yeah, of course.
That holds it all together, man.
Exactly.
When my grandfather passed away, my grandmother never got out of bed for 20 years. Just stayed in bed. Broken hearted, mate. Yeah. That's what the geese. That's love. When you talk about girls, I don't know if you're listening out there, yeah, right. When I talk about love, yeah, right, I've seen it. Yeah, that woman lost her man and she didn't get out of bed for 20 years. Yeah, that's love.
That's tough.
That's love, mate. Right, and spoke about him every single day.
En ik ben daar zo met mijn boy. En ik heb die ding nog thuis. En je kan niet fucken op boy. En ik ben op die chop chop joy. En je weet dat ik denk Ja, it's sick, man. It's fucking sick quality, bro. Fucking